بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم. So now we're moving on to the seventh section, or the seventh heading that I've made, is the Ism al-Maf'ul. So we finished the Muqaddimah where he explained the purpose of this book. He explained the difference between the Ism and the Fa'il, main difference. Masdar, within that Masdar al-Mimi, Ism al-Mar'a, Ism al-Hay'a, Ism al-Zaman al-Makan, Ism al-Fa'il, and now we are here. We're discussing the Ismul Maf'ul. So there's nothing really special about Ismul Maf'ul in terms of, there's nothing special to discuss. After discussing Ismul Fa'il, the basics, same thing that happens there in terms of its meaning, in terms of how much thubut there is, how much tajaddud there is, etc. The same discussion that we had before, Ismul Fa'il, will happen here again. Even here, the tense, Ismadi, Hal, Istiqbal, all three meanings will be found, Istimrar. He's giving examples. So al-Madi, kullu yajri ajim musamma. But again, when it has a Madi meaning, as we mentioned yesterday, it implies more of an adjective meaning. It has already been fixed. So for each of the sun and the moon, they will continue to move ajali musamma until a particular time. So musamma fixed. So when it has a Madi meaning, it's more of an adjective. And then Hal and Istiqbal, they have verbal meanings. Malaka mahzuna. Why are you grieved? Aqbala masrura, he came when he was happy. The future tense meaning, ذَلِكَ يَوْمٌ مَجْمُوءٌ لَهُ النَّاسِ. I explained this already in the previous discussions, that majmu' the Ismul Maf'ul is more emphatic and it gives a stronger link than يَوْمَ يُجْمَعُ لَهُ النَّاسِ. We have istimrar, and istimrar ata'an ghayra majudud, mean a continuity. Okay, all of these have been discussed previously. Dalala al-thubut. So for example, ata'an ghayra majudud, a gift or a blessing or a bestowing which will never come to an end. And then here he has wama'im maskoob, flowing water. And that's why some translators have said flowing constantly. They've translated the element of istimrar in that as well. And all of this has been discussed previously in Ism al-Fa'il. It can show dalala al-thubut, i.e. it can have a meaning of an sifat mushabbaha bi Ism al-Fa'il. So for example, mudawwarul wajh, his face is round. So mudawwar, Ism al-Maf'ul, but it's not just the Ism al-Maf'ul, it has a more long-term meaning to it, long-term aspect to it. So that's where the Ism al-Fa'il and Ism al-Maf'ul are similar and have the same connotations. What he's discussing here is not what we're discussing. In books of Sarf we have maf'ulun for thulathi mujarrad, and for thulathi mazweed fi, you remove the ya, you replace it with a mim madhmoom, second last letter you give it a fatha. That's how you make the maf'ul sigha. He's not going to discuss that in this book, that's basics. What he's discussing is that there's some other sigh which give a maf'ul meaning, and he's discussing those. So the first thing he discusses is fa'il. So he says fa'il can also have a maf'ul meaning. For example, and before the example he mentions one rule, is that if you have a fa'il, then in there the mudhakkar and mu'annath are the same. You don't need to add a ta marbuta. So for example, jarih it means wounded. So jarih means majruh. Jaraha yajrahu jarhan, to wound somebody. So jarih is the same as majruh, somebody who's been wounded. But you don't have to worry about jarihun is a mudhakkar or mu'annas. Huwa jarihun and hiya jarihun. The jarih is used both places. You can say asir. So asir, asara ya'siru, to encapture somebody. So asara ya'siru, asir and ma'sur, same thing, they encaptured. Okay? You got it? So that's one more pattern. But in Sarf, that's all we discussed. There's another pattern. But here in Nahu, in Ma'ani Sarf, Ma'ani al-Abniyah, he's going to think deeper. He's going to think, well, why do we have fa'il? What's the point of having fa'il and a maf'ul? If they both give the same meaning, why have two sighas? He says there must be a difference. So he mentions three. He mentions three primary differences that he notices. The first he says is that, look, we have fa'il, we have maf'ul. And fa'il, when it shows not a temporary, but relatively temporary thubut compared to fa'il. So when you have fa'il, it shows what? A long-term thubut. So for example, da'iq and dayiq. Qa'id and qa'id. So he's saying here similarly, the same way fa'il can be changed to fa'il to give a long-term meaning, fa'il can also express a maf'ul meaning but has more thubut. So he says a sister. So okay, so it has a wasfun thabit. كأنه التبيعة. The same way, for example, instead of having طاول, you'd have طويل. The quality of tool is long term. Yes? He says similarly, when you have the fa'ilun pattern, it shows that this maf'ul meaning is almost like an intrinsic quality, something that has become a nature and something, a part of that person. Okay? So he gives a few examples on the next page. He says here, for example, when you have Hamid, so you have Mahmud and Hamid. So Mahmud is somebody who can be praised, but the thubut within Mahmud is not as much as Hamid. That's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's sifa is huwa al-Hamid. He's Hamid, not Mahmud. Because Mahmud is, it shows thubut more than Yuhmad, but a more long-term element of thubut is Hamid. He is Hamid, praiseworthy. You got it? Similarly, you know the shaitan is marjoom. The shaitan is rajim. It has a meaning of marjoom, but the rajim, the marjoomiyya element is more thubut and is more long-term. Does that make sense? Are you following? Similarly, you have kahil. So kahl, there's an English word for it, I don't remember, and something. Basically called surma in Urdu, the black kind of powder you put on in your eyes. So kahil, if you apply that powderish thing, it's called, you become makhul. And if it's very, very deep, or it's actually your eyes have that quality, or you want to exaggerate the kohl, you say kahil. Similarly, henna, when you put what we call mehendi, that is it called henna? What's it called? Hinna. What do you say in English? Whatever it's called, when you put it on, if you put it on, the hand is makhdub. But if it's a lot, you want to exaggerate the henna on your hands, it's called what now? Khadib, kafun khadibun. The henna is now what? A lot, and it's almost like a quality. So it doesn't have to be a permanent quality, but it's like exaggeration and a hyperbole to show how much the color is on the hand. Correct? So if you look at it here, you can say here, if you have a passive meaning, you can have yuhmad, he is praised. A more long-term meaning would be Mahmud, and the more long-term meaning would be Hamid. So yuhmad, Mahmud, and Hamid. Correct? You got it? That's what he's saying here. Another aspect he mentions is that when you have the maf'ul meaning, the maf'ul meaning usually implies that the person being talked about will have that quality. He doesn't have it yet. Not always, but it can have that meaning. It has that possibility. Okay? So for example, Mahmud. So if you look at Mahmud, that means he is praiseworthy right now. But maqtul can mean what? He has been killed or he will be killed. So this, the maf'ul meaning can have future, present, and it can also show he's already adopted that quality. As opposed to fa'il, which means he has that quality already. It doesn't have a future tense meaning in it. Okay, so for example, is it not mentioned here? Yes. For example, you'll read in the hadith, Abdullah ibn Zubayr radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, he was in Makkah Mukarramah and he was surrounded by Hajjaj's army. And he knew that everybody had left him, nobody left with him, and he's going to be killed. So he went to Asma radiyallahu ta'ala anha, his mother, and he said, Ma ya i'lami ya ummah, O my mother, know that anni maqtulun min yawmi hadha. I am going to be killed today. So maqtulun doesn't mean he has already have the quality of being killed, but he can foresee that he will be killed. As opposed to qatil. You can't say huwa qatilun when he's going to be killed. If he's already been killed, he's a qatil. Qatil only has the meaning of already adopting the quality, as opposed to maqtul, which has two possibilities. Hamid, he's already done something which he is become praiseworthy. And Mahmud, he's praiseworthy right now, or he will be doing something via which he will be worthy of praise. Does that make sense? Yes? Musab following? Yes? That's what he's saying here. Okay. Yes? So if I say majruh, if I say to you, you are madrub, what does that mean? What could it mean? It could mean you will be hit or you've already been hit. If I said he's darib, for example, for argument's sake. So madrub can have both elements. It can have past tense meaning he's already been hit. He is being hit, he will be hit. Present and future. G. When you say madrub, it means he's already been hit. Now this is now not a verbal meaning, but more of a noun meaning, someone who has been hit. So in these two aspects here, past and future, this has a verbal meaning. And if it's madrub, he's already been hit, then it's like a noun. So makhluk, for example, let's look at makhluk. Let's look at the word makhluk. Right? If you look at the word makhluk, it can have all three tenses, but two tenses will be verbal. Hal and istiqbal. Yes? And these are verbal meanings. Yes? And if you have a past tense sense to it, al-madi, it is more of a noun. It's a noun meaning, has a noun meaning. Okay? So for example, if you say, for example, هذا المخلوق, this creation. So it's not showing the past tense meaning itself, but it has a past tense element to it. This is what has been created. هذا المخلوق, this creation. And when I say مخلوق, well, something will be created, it means what? It is going to be. Let's use the word maqtul. I know it's a violent example, but let's use the word maqtul. So maqtul can have three meanings: the murdered, or is going to be killed, is being killed, or is going to be killed. Now this can be used in a verbal meaning, actual verbal meaning. Huwa maqtulun, he's being killed, or he will be killed. Huwa maqtulun, he has been killed, he's been murdered. Al-maqtul, the one who has been murdered. So this noun meaning contains within it the past tense element. And the maqtul, if it contains a verbal meaning, it means what? It actually is taking place or will take place. Ana fa'ilun insha'Allah, I will do it. Al-fa'il, the one who does things. That means it can have the... So al-fa'il, the one who done the action. Al-qatil, the murderer, the one who carried out the act of murder. Is that clarified kind of? I understand your predicament because it is a bit confusing when we say it has a past and future tense meaning. Is it a bit clearer? Or should I explain it again? Yes? So when we say the ism al-fa'il, ism maf'ul only carries a present and future tense meaning, that means when it's in a verbal aspect, inni khaliqum bashara, I am going to create. So the khaliq here has a meaning of a verb. Yes? And huwa al-khaliq is an ism, the one who created. So he's already done the khalq. That's why he's a khaliq, he's a fatir. That's why we said yesterday, that fatiru samawati wal ard. We said it has a madhi meaning. By madhi meaning implies he's already carried out the action and therefore is attributed to it. And when you have hal and mustaqbil meaning, it means that he will be attributed to it. Ana fa'ilun insha'Allah, I will do it. So I haven't done it as yet, but I will do it. Huwa al-qatil, he is a murderer. It's a noun meaning, meaning he's already done the qatl, so now he's now attributed, the qatl is linked to him. Make sense? Yes? Yes, is that clear now? Okay. Right. The third point he mentions, he says that, I guess it comes into the second point. is that what we said is that the maf'ul shows the quality and fa'il shows it becomes a natural quality. So therefore, by extension, we can say the third possibility is that fa'il is more ablag, more emphatic than maf'ul, sorry. So for example, he gives a non-Quranic example. You have here, jaraha is to wound. Okay? Yes? If he's crying like a baby, you see, you only majruh. Why are you crying like a baby for? You only majruh. And if he's jarih, take him hospital. Majruh, the jarah is insignificant or is less. And jarih is serious. Again, this is relative and this is a rule of thumb. You will get variation in this. But he's saying here, if you have jarih, this will show the element or the meaning being implied is more emphatic. It has more, and be carried out more or is done more severely as opposed to the maf'ul. Correct? And from this, he gives the example, فَجَعَلْنَاهَا حَصِيدًا. So hasad is to cut the harvest. So mahsood has been cut. But mahsood wouldn't give as much emphasis as hasid. So when Allah described the destruction, what does He say? Okay. That is what? They were totally cut to pieces as opposed to mahsood. Mahsood also means cut, but the hasid gives more emphasis to the maf'ul aspect and to the meaning. Understood? Yes? Yes, we go ahead. Everybody following? Okay. The next thing he discusses is fa'ila. He says here fa'ila. So he says here fa'il can have a ta marbuta at the end. What can you do? You can add a ta'u ta'nith at the end. Okay? Now, I mentioned this a few places, I don't think in this lesson or this class, but I mentioned a few places before. That what you can do, you can add a ta marbuta to some nouns to give it to some adjectives to give a noun meaning. So let's say, for example, you have dhabiha. So dhabaha, to slaughter. Yes? From there you get the normal ism al-maf'ul, means what? Madhbuh. And from there you get dhabih. Correct? And dhabih means, it can now means, it has been slaughtered. Has been slaughtered. And it is more than madhbuh. But if you add it ta marbuta, and you say, dhabiha. Now dhabiha, now these, they can be adjectives or nouns, but the primary meaning of these adjectives. When you add dhabiha, the adjective meaning is removed and it's only a noun meaning. So dhabiha is not a description, but it's actually a thing. What is it? An animal prepared for sacrifice. To be slaughtered, not sacrifice, it's slaughtered. So a dhabiha, an animal prepared to be slaughtered. Do you understand? An-natiha comes in the Quran, one-natiha, that animal which has been horned, another animal attacked it with its horns and has wounded it and it dies because of that. So natiha, ash-shat al-mayta bin-nat. The shat, that sheep or the other animal which has been wounded and killed by another animal's attack. So now these fa'ila, when you have the fa'ila pattern, it becomes a noun as opposed to an adjective, where the fa'il has both possibilities, noun and adjective. When it's a past tense, it will have the noun meaning. Present and future will have adjective or verbal meanings. So for example, you have a few words here. Some of them come in hadith, but again, they're not always literal translation. Naqi'a, it means an infusion. You put dates, you put strawberries, you put some kind of fruit in water. That's something that's a very common thing nowadays, this is fashion. So naqi'a is an infusion of some fruits into water or liquid. Or wakira, now these little translations is not possible because these are like more like recipes. So wakira is when you used to build a house, completion of a house, they would have a da'wah. So for example, a walima, same pattern. Walima is a food served upon marriage. And a wakira is a food prepared for the completion of a house. Okay? There's also a few others. When you return from a journey, they'll have a food, a meal, a feast. Al-madhira is some kind of meat cooked in milk. Yeah, if you Google it, you find it. They have this, I had the pork one. But you also have lamb and that. You cook it in meat. How you cook it, I don't know. Khazira, you can translate as porridge. But again, it's some kind of mixture of water and flour, etc. Basisa, same thing, wheat mixed with butter, honey. So all of these are what? Nouns. So ism fa'il with a ta marbuta. Now the adjective meaning goes away and it becomes a noun. Okay? So far so good? Yes? So he's explained one. Now what he's saying going forward, we have other patterns which also give the meaning of maf'ul, but they're not maf'ul, they're not thulathi mazid fi maf'ul, and they're not fa'ila fa'ila. He's got a list of 10 of them. The first one he says is fi'lun. You can have fi'lun, it has a maf'ul meaning as well. For example, tihnun. So a tihnun, now okay, remember all of these. So remember I said to you before, the ism al-fa'il, ism al-maf'ul, it can be used in different ways. Ism al-fa'il or al-maf'ul. They can be used as a noun, they can be used as an adjective. So he's giving examples of both nouns and adjectives. So for example, these are some noun examples. So for example, at-tihnun means mathun, which has been grinded. So grinded flour can be called tihn. At-tirh is something that you throw, matruh. Okay, so at-tihn is daqiq, flour that has been grinded. And ri'yun, here written another example, ri'yun is a mar'i, that grass upon which the animals graze. That's called a ri'yun. And an example from the Quran, can you think of one? ذبح وفديناه بذبح عظيم أي بمذبوح عظيم. We exchange him for a great sacrifice. So ذبح comes in the Quran, ذبح. That's a noun. So fi'lun has a meaning of maf'ul. And adjectives also have this meaning. It's a noun. You also have some adjectives with maf'uli meaning. For example, bid'an. So for example, ما كنت بدعا من الرسول. I am not an invented or something new. A new Rasul. Rasuls have come before me. The jins Rasul, the whole aspect of Rasul, come often before. Okay. Niklun is nakalan, a warning. So niklun is somebody who's been made mankul. He's been made a warning for others. So if, for example, there's a rebellion somewhere. So somebody's punished very severely. So anybody who wants to rebel, this is what's going to happen to you. He's a nikl. He's mankul. Not nickel. Nickel is money. Nikl is what? A person who the enemy has made an example. So this fi'lun can either be a noun or an adjective, and it has a maf'ul element. So it can be tirhun, ri'yun, dhibhun, bid'un, niklun. All of these have the meaning of maf'ul. Some are nouns, some are adjectives. So the fi'lun can also have a maf'ul meaning or maf'ul aspect to it. Another example he gives is fa'al. And again, within fa'al, he gives noun examples and he gives adjective examples. So qanas is to hunt. So qanas is maqnus, a hunted animal, it's been caught. Salab, it comes in hadith quite a bit in Babul jihad. So for example, in war. So nowadays, there's no much spoils of war really. But in the old time days, for example, somebody's been killed. So you have the armor, the shield, the helmets, the sword, their bows, arrows. So the thing that's taken away from him is called salab. And salab really means what? Maslub. Okay? Qara is when you get water and you take it out. So a qara is the water taken out in the hands to drink. So qanas, salab, qara. All of these are nouns which have the maf'ul aspect. Salab, the thing removed from the dead person. Qara, the water taken to be drunk. Qanas, the thing that has been hunted. In terms of adjectives, you have ibilun hamal, an abandoned camel. And rajulun nakal, same from niklun nakal, means what? A person who has been made an example for others. So fa'al also gives the maf'ul bihi meaning. I can't think, they probably are. I never thought from this perspective before in reading the Quran, but you might think of example. I can't think of any Quran examples on the pattern of fa'al that have a maf'ul meaning, but they probably are. When you do read next, when you're reading now, look out for it. Mm-hmm. 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 That's also maf'ul. But what he's saying is that The question is, in the Quran have nakalan. So it's like, it works like this. Maf'ul meaning is expressed by nakl and nikl. But there are also other sighas to express a maf'ul meaning. So nakal is also another way of expressing the maf'ul bihi meaning. So it is so what we're saying is the patterns of niklun and naklun. Niklun and nakal, they have a maf'ul bihi meaning. Nakal also have a maf'ul aspect to it, but it's not on this pattern. So it doesn't have to come on nakal or nikl to give the meaning of maf'ul. Other patterns also express the maf'ul element. He's just pointing out a few patterns which give the maf'ul element. Does that make sense? Now what sigha is nakal? He hasn't mentioned that. He's not mentioned that as a specific maf'ul pattern. But it does give the maf'ul meaning to it. So apart from these 10, you will also find other words that have a maf'ul meaning to it. But they're not from these 10 patterns. They're not muttari, they're not common, or they're not like a general rule. Does that make sense? Yeah. Next one he has here is fu'lun. So for example, you have fu'lun. Again, you have nouns and adjectives. Khubzun, makhbuz. The thing that has been prepared via khabz. Tu'mun is it comes the thing you eat. Okay, it comes in hadith as well. Tu'matu ta'im. Okay, tu'ma. And it can also come as a wasf. For example, a naqatun ubrun. So a naqa is ma'bura. Ay, a naqa which you can use to travel. And the easy example of this is what? Nukra. Ay, munkar. لَقَدْ جِئْتَ شَيْئًا نُكْرًا. So nukra, a munkar, a very unknown, a very strange, unacceptable thing. And this is mubalagha. He mentions at the end afterwards that some of these 10, along with carrying the maf'ul meaning, they also carry what? They also carry a mubalagha meaning to it. And inshallah we'll do that at the end, we'll summarize at the end inshallah. So we stop here today inshallah. Subhanallah wa bihamdi, subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika, wa nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, wa nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Nahmaduhu wa nusalli ala rasulihil kareem. So the next pattern of ism al-maf'ul that we're discussing, meaning it's not called ism al-maf'ul, but the meaning within it gives a maf'ul meaning, is lu'na or fu'la. Okay, so for example he has here lu'na. So lu'na is that thing is abundantly cursed. Subba. Now subba, you probably read the seerah a lot, this word comes. Subba, this is an R, the Quraysh uses this word a lot. That this is a subba and a disgrace. So the thing that is cursed a lot is called a subba, and the subba itself is then called the curse and the R. And the dishonor itself is called subba. Okay? Now sur'a is the one who is often wrestled to the floor, meaning he's always a loser. He doesn't win much in his wrestling. Now you have to be very careful here, because it's coming up later on. We'll discuss it in a bit more detail later on in mubalagha, but I'll mention it here that fu'la is a maf'ul. So you have here fu'latun has a maf'ul meaning, and fu'ala has what meaning? A fa'il meaning. This is a maf'ul meaning, and fu'ala is a fa'il meaning. What does that mean? A lu'na is a mal'un kathira, and lu'ana la'inun kathira. What does he do? He sends lots of curse. So the lu'ana, so for example, a lu'ba, what do you call it here? Toys, lu'ba. The thing that's played with often, so it's a toy. And the lu'aba, one who often plays. So you have two very similar. The fatha and the sukoon make a difference. So you have, that comes in the hadith, لَيْسَ الشَّدِيدُ بِس. That one is saru'a, I think. That's not sur'a, that's saru'a, that's different. Okay? So the first meaning of fu'la is the one who does the action a lot. And another meaning of fu'la is sometimes show the amount, the miqdar. So for example, ghurfa. So ghurfa in colloquial Arabic, modern standard Arabic is a room. Even in the Quran it uses ghurafat. But ghurfa also refers to an amount of water. إِلَّا مَنِ اغْتَرَفَ غُرْفَةً بِيَدِهِ. So اغترف is to take water from the ocean. So it's the story of Talut and Dawood and the whole army. So take a ghurfa of water. And a ghurfa is one taking. So اغترف, to take a handful of water. So when you do, the amount you take in one hand is called ghurfa. Khutwa is one step. So fu'la shows a miqdar between 2 feet. So when you step one foot forward, the miqdar between the 2 feet is called a khutwa. Luqma is what? Iltaqama is to swallow something. How much you can swallow in one amount is called a luqma, morsel. Shuba'a, shabi'a yashba'u, to be satiated, to be full. So shuba'a is how much ever fills you, is called a shuba'a. So the fu'la pattern is used for mubalagha in maf'ul meaning, or is used for miqdar. Okay? And khutwa is used in the Quran. Luqma comes in the hadith quite a bit. And yeah. Okay? The next pattern he discusses is fu'ul. Next pattern he discusses is fu'ul. Okay? Now, so an easy example of this comes in the Quran. He gives the example of ukul. So ukuluha da'im. Ay, ma'kuluha da'im. The fruits, the things that will be eaten in Jannah, is fruits, is food. Ukuluha da'im. Nuzul is a food prepared for guests. Is usually food prepared for guests. So these are nouns. As I said before, these maf'ul mean have two aspects. They can either be a noun or adjective. So these are noun meanings. Ukul, ma yu'kal. Nuzul, ma yu'addu lid-dayf. For a guest, what food is prepared is called a nuzul. Come in the Quran, أَذَلِكَ خَيْرٌ نُزُلًا. There are also about 3-4 other instances where the word nuzul is used. So fu'ul has a maf'ul element to it. In terms of adjective, he gives the example futuh. That's not in the Quran. The correct example is nukur. So nukur is munkar, but shadidun nakara. Even more munkar than a munkar. So فَتَوَلَّ عَنْهُمْ يَوْمَ يَدْعُ الدَّاعِ إِلَى شَيْءٍ نُكُرٍ. Allah says it, ignore them, don't worry about them. يَوْمَ يَدْعُ الدَّاعِ إِلَى شَيْءٍ نُكُرٍ. A day they will be called towards something very, very strange, very unfamiliar, very scary. i.e. the ahwal and the events of the day of Qiyamah. So nukur. Okay? And the example is he gives futuh. So futuh, something that's like maftuh, that's where maftuh is something that's opened. And it's kept open. Sorry, futuh is kept open. And maftuh means it's open, whether it remains open or not necessarily. Okay? So he's mentioned a slight difference. So futuh is mubalagha compared to the maf'ul. So maftuh is open, like a window is open or closed. So it's got a few hot days, 1 or 2 hot days here at the moment, it's quite warm. So we open our doors, or we open our windows, but our windows are never futuh. Windows in like Arabia or Caribbean countries, African countries, they are futuh, they're always open. And our windows are maftuha, the yawmin or yawmain. Yes, when it gets one, it's a good weather. Yes, understood? So there's a difference in futuh or fu'ul and maf'ul. Okay. The next meaning he discusses is fa'ul. So fa'ul also has a maf'ul meaning. For example, Rasul. So Rasul is a mursal, the one who is sent. So the fa'ul has a maf'ul meaning. He's got a few other words that are not commonly used, but the one he has here is rakub. Rakub and dhalul. So these are adjectives, so these are nouns. So for example, Rasul, a messenger who is sent. Wujur, medicine for the mouth. Naqu', anything that is drunk at night. Qayu', medicine is drunk for vomiting. And the adjective meaning, dhalul. In the surah, Surah Al-Mulk, وَالَّذِي جَعَلَ لَكُمُ الْأَرْضَ ذَلُولًا. He has made the land madlul, subjugated. So the maf'ul, the dhalul has a maf'ul pattern. Correct? And it also comes Surah Al-Nahl or Surah Al-An'am. وَمِنْهَا رَكُوبُهُم. Is it rakub there? or ركوبهم there. Yeah, so rakub, i.e. the markub, their means of conveyance. So rakub. Correct? So the fa'ul pattern also shows a maf'ul meaning to it. Okay? Now, the next one here, I think he confused us previously. He mentioned it previously, in my book, on page 25, he mentioned a fu'al pattern. But there he clarified, he brought up the issue, and he said that fu'al is a masdar. And it's a masdar for what? For illnesses or sounds. So he says here, ما دل على داء أو صوت فقياس على فعال. So fu'al, if it's a masdar, the masdar shows which meaning? An illness or a sound. And we had, for example, su'al, zukam, surakh, rugha, we had muka, or for illnesses, subat, fuwaq, zukam, duar, headache, all of those. He also mentioned there the maf'ul meaning. So by he mentioned it there, there he mentioned maf'ul meaning, which should actually be brought here, which he did bring here. But he brought out the topic discussion there as well. And we discussed it there, that words like hutam, judad, rufat, futat, all of these, they have the same pattern as a masdar. But the masdar meaning is for sounds and illnesses. And if it's a noun, not a masdar, then it would have what kind of meaning? A sickness. It would have the meaning of something that is murfadh, mutaqatta, broken, discarded. So hutama, again, all these words came previously. Hutam, remains and rubble. Futat, crumbs of a morsel. Judaz, shredded fragments. So all of this fu'al, it basically means mahtum, destroyed. Majdud, marfut, maftut. But in the fu'al meaning, it is more emphatic. Okay? Than the maf'ul meaning. It has all, these are maf'ul meanings. But he mentioned previously that fu'al is also used as a masdar. So fu'al, that wasn't a fu'al. If you use it as a masdar, or you can use it as a noun. If you use it as a masdar, it has a meaning of illness, or it has a meaning of sound. And one example is zukam, and an example of sound is illa muka'un wa tasdiya. And if it's a noun, it has a meaning of al-marfudh, al-maqtu', something rejected, discarded, not used, and al-muqatta, something is cut off. Yes? Understood? Everybody following me? Good. The next pattern he has is fu'ala. Fu'ala. Fu'ala is the same as fu'al, but it is al-mafsul al-qalil. So for example, what comes regarding Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam? فَجَأَلَهُ جُذَاذًا. He made it to a judad. So the entire idol became a judad. He broke it into bits. Now fu'ala and fu'al differ in this aspect, that fu'al simply shows that it is discarded and it is broken to pieces. Fu'ala, the ta marbuta, shows something broken from a bigger part. So the small part is called fu'ala. If the entire thing is broken, that's just judad or rufat or hutam. But if you have a ta marbuta, fu'ala, it means something small. So in hutam, everything is disregarded, marfuz, muqatta. In fu'ala, only one part is muqatta and marfuz. So for example, qulama. So qalam, we call pen, but in old time, qalam would be the piece of pen, but the wooden pen. So you have to sharpen the pen. So when you sharpen the wooden pen with a knife, you cut off the tip and the nib, and you sharpen it. So the remains are called qulama, not qulam. Because qulam would mean the whole thing has been cut to pieces. And qulama is that small remnants, or that small discarded part. Correct? Nukhala is when you're sieving flour or any such substance. So the thing that remains, so the main parts goes through the sieve, and the little bits that remain are called nukhala with ta marbuta. Because the qalil min al-kathir. Correct? Subaba, same thing here. And he explains all this. Burada, qurada. So when you're cutting something, clippings. قرادة. Subaba, remaining water. Yes? Correct? So he has these a few examples given. So fu'al and fu'ala both show like a part of something. Fu'al shows that the entire thing is into pieces. And the fu'ala shows a small piece of the main piece. Okay? So if you just want to picture it, this is hutam. It's all broken into pieces. And kulama, this is the kulama. This has been taken off from the main piece. So hutam is the entire piece. They're all broken to pieces and they're all marfud muqatta, disregarded. And here, this is the part has been taken off from the kathir. This is the kathir. This is the qalila has been disregarded. Fahimtum? Yes? Okay. Another meaning he's given here is, another pattern of maf'ul meaning is fi'al. So kitab, ay maktub, khidab. The khidab is the actual thing you apply. The henna. Okay? The libas, the thing you wear. The mizaj, the thing you add into it. Ma mujida bihi. It comes in Surah Al-Insan. Right, Surah Al-Insan. Yeah. What does it come? Kana mizajuha kafura. The thing you add to the wine. I try I don't know exactly what it is, but you add something to the wine to give it a slight different taste. So mizaj is the thing you add. A mamzuj, what you add to it. Correct? Those are nouns. So kitab, a book that's written. Khidab, the thing you apply to your hands. Libas, the things you wear. The mizaj, the thing you add to the wine to give it a special flavor. In terms of adjectives, one easy example in the Quran is dihaq. Ay mudhaqa, full. So ka'sun dihaqa is full. Ay mamlu. Ka'sun mamlu. Okay? Yes? Understood? So anybody's got time? You can read through a dictionary and look for these examples. I'm joking. If you want to, you could read the dictionary and look for a few patterns and the different words. Or read the Quran very attentively and see if you can see any more examples. He hasn't given many examples in the Quran, but he has given some. Okay? Right. Uf'ula is another pattern, the last pattern. So uf'ula is also a maf'ul meaning, but this is muhaqqaratul umur. It's something which is like insignificant, degradable, something looked down upon. So udhuka, like a joke. So it's a joke, something that obviously the butt of the joke will be something disgraced, looked down upon. That has that element to it. Utruha, it's not always, but usually has that kind of element to it. Okay? U'juba, ul'uba. Okay? A'ajib. So it comes in literally a'ajib. Adahik, jokes. Utruha, a mas'ala that you present to somebody. Usbuba, uhdutha. So hadith is something like a conversation, something useful, a hadith. But uhdutha is just like a fable, I don't know, maybe a novel, a movie. Just uhdutha, just pastime. There's no information in it, just a pastime. Uf'ula, udhiyya comes from this pattern. So it's really udhuwa, but you change out you change the udhiyya, ay ma yuzbah. So it doesn't always have the muhaqqarat, but it has the element of it. And what comes in the Quran? Ahadith from uhdutha and asatir. So ustura is a legend, fables. So asatir is a legends and fables of the ancient. So things that are narrated from such. So udhiyya ما يذبح ما يضحى أحدوثة ما يحدث أعجوبة ما يتعجب منه أضحوكة ما يضحك به. Correct? Yes, this is the last example of the maf'ul. Everybody following? Now what he does, again he's done a very good job, but I find a bit. Now what he's done now, he's repeated some of the sayghas again, and he's mentioned. Maybe he wants to clarify and he wants to make it separate. So some of the maf'ul patterns mentioned before, what he's saying is that some of these maf'ul patterns he's mentioned before, they can be used. He's saying that you have ismul mubalagha coming up later on. So he's saying that many of these maf'ul sighas, maf'ul meanings. So ismul mubalagha, we normally express it saying ismul mubalagha is something that shows a ismul fa'il meaning with more intensity. Ghafir, ghaffar. Yes? Alim, alim. Yes? Mubalagha. Okay? But what he's saying here is that the maf'ul, some maf'ul, not all 10 of them, but some of them, I think he's mentioned here, 6. 6 of the maf'ul patterns mentioned before have a, what element? A mubalagha element. It shows more intensity. So what he's saying is, anytime you have maf'ul, that shows one meaning. You go away from the maf'ul and you go to another sigha which has maf'ul meaning, it shows more intensity. Yes? And there's some which are even 3rd level intensity. Yes? So it says there's 3 levels of intensity within the maf'ul. So for example, you have maktub, written. And kitab is like, it's more emphatic than maktub. Maktub means it's been written right now, and the kitab is actually a whole written book. So the maf'ul element or the maf'ul meaning is a bit deeper. And within these patterns, so the original pattern is maf'ul, but from those you have some, so all of them, all of the 10, which is mentioned afterwards as additional sighas of maf'ul, they have a more emphatic meaning, but within those, some of them have a mubalagha within them. It's a bit even more intense. Let me see if I can explain it here, what he's saying. So what he's saying, he says here, for example, fu'la. He says here, fu'la, and the reason he deduced this is saying that these patterns match up with mubalagha of ismul fa'il. For example, what I mentioned earlier. He says here, look, lu'ana, they agree that lu'ana is a mubalagha sigha for fa'il. So lu'ana, somebody who does la'an kathir, often, who always sends curses, he's called a lu'ana. To match up with lu'ana, so lu'ana is a fa'il meaning, and lu'na is a maf'ul meaning. So just as this has mubalagha, it shows intensity. The one who does not la'in, not la'an, but lu'ana. Similarly, you have fu'ala. So fu'ala is not mal'un, but often mal'un. You understand what he's saying here? Yes? Another example. He says fa'il. Because hamid, well, what a hamid. So you say, for example, so he says here, the same way alim becomes alim to show intensity, we say here, marjoom becomes rajim to show intensity. So you can compare these sighas to the mubalagha. So the Ahlul Sarf and Ahlul Abniyah, they haven't made as far as I know, they don't have a particular, they don't say mubalagha of maf'ul. They usually say mubalagha of ismul fa'il. But he's saying here that these match up, they line up. The same way you understand the mubalagha and ismul fa'il, you can also understand mubalagha ismul maf'ul. So in fu'ala and fu'ala, the pattern is different. We have a slight difference in the pattern in the harakah, fu'ala and fu'ala. But the other 4 examples he's given, or 5 examples, the pattern is the same. So fa'il is a mubalagha of fa'il. So the same way alim emphasizes alim, rajim emphasizes the marjoom. Yes? Hamid is emphasizing being mahmud. Does that make sense? Yes? And the same applies for yeah. The same applies for fa'ul. So for example, he says, look at the same thing here. We have here, he says, look at the ism fa'il. We have what? Ghafir. What's the mubalagha of ghafir on fa'ul pattern? Khafur. Sabir becomes sabur. And what does everybody call these? They call these what? Ismul mubalagha. But the ismul mubalagha also occurs in a maf'ul sense. we have what? Madlul subjugated becomes dhalul. We have markoob becomes rakoob. So again, we're trying to say that the ismul mubalagha siyagh you will come across, they also apply to ism maf'ul. Like fu'ul. He's saying here, if you look at word fu'ul, is like, for example, he says here, sahid. Sahid means what? Who sleeps a less. Doesn't sleep much. That's a people boast about this. I sleep so less. Whether it's healthy or not, it's another issue. It's a really good book regarding that, why we sleep. There's one scientist, a British scientist, he done a really good, got quite a good few books on that. Look it up, go Amazon, very useful. And it gives us an excuse to sleep more. So I'm doing it for my scientific reasons, not for laziness. But anyways, so rajulun suhud. So sahid becomes suhud. So fu'ul. Yes? So the same as sahid, the fa'il meaning becomes suhud. You see here similarly, maftuh, for emphasis becomes what? Fu'ul, ghuluq. So he's saying here that generally you have ism mubalagha of ismul fa'il. But let it not be, don't forget or don't miss the point that it's not only mubalagha of ismul fa'il. The maf'ul meaning is also, mubalagha is also done of that. There's also an emphasis, a ta'keed, intensity created in those words. Are you following me? Another example, he says, look, we said ubrun, fu'lun. So he says, example, the same thing happens. So nukrun, we say here, an animal you mount is ma'bur. Create more emphasis, say ubrun. Yes? Or munkar becomes nukr. The same pattern also happens in fa'il. Something which is salib, or a strong, firm. You say sulb, fu'lun. Yeah, sulbun. Or if you're free, you say hurrun. Yes? And the same he says applies to fa'al. He says the pattern fa'al. Same thing applies with that. Okay? Because why? Like nakal. So nakal is ma yunkalu bihi, maf'ul meaning. And the opposite of that in a fa'il meaning is hasan. Yes? That's what he's trying to explain here. Okay? You got it? So in summary, what he's saying here, so if you go right back to the beginning of Ism Maf'ul, let's summarize what he's mentioned regarding Ism Maf'ul. The basic, we all know that, how to form it. That's not to do with our topic about this book. He's mentioned, it comes from Madi, Hal, or Mustaqbil. Yes? Then he mentions Fa'il, then he mentions Fa'ila. So Fa'il has a particular meaning, Fa'ila has a particular meaning. He discusses these two sighas separately, individually in a separate section. Then he says, along with the normal maf'ul, and along with fa'il and fa'ila, there are 10 other patterns that he's come across or commonly used. There may be others which have a maf'ul element to it, a fi'lun, fa'alun, etc. And then after that he mentioned there are 6 patterns which have mubalagha of the ism al-maf'ul, and they match up exactly or similarly to the mubalagha of the ism al-fa'il. Okay? That's a summary of what he discussed, inshallah. So at the end of the book, we'll go through a summary of it, inshallah, of all of these individual parts. Okay, subhanallah, bihamdi, subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika, wa nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk.